Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. I make videos on career, education, and lifestyle. And today's video is all about getting an MBA versus an MSBA, Masters in Business Analytics, and what the difference is. I've done a lot of research on this because I was considering an MBA at first. I ended up getting an MSBA. Might want to get an MBA in the future, so I've thought about this a lot, and I hope that this is useful for you as you consider which master's program might be right for you. It's going to be a bit of a chatty video. We're gonna run some errands, we're gonna talk about it, and get on the same page. Let's do it. Let's first clarify what an MBA stands for versus an MSBA. MBA is the Masters in Business Administration, and MSBA is a Masters of Science in Business Analytics. Completely different degrees, so let's talk about what the differences might be. The first difference is general versus technical. MBA degree is a general business degree. An MBA has courses in finance, accounting, human resource management, general business principles, economics, marketing. Essentially, the different facets of a business are going to be covered. You have a high-level understanding of various parts of a business and how they all come together. Whereas the MSBA is a bit different. I would say that it's a bit more narrow than an MBA degree would be. An MSBA is really centered around how you use data to help businesses. So it's a bit more narrow, although some of the business classes that you take in an MBA might also be in an MSBA degree. However, MSBA degrees are typically a bit more technical. You learn things like SQL or Python, some data visualization skills, and also some of the general fundamental courses that you might find in an MBA. The second thing we'll discuss is timing. One we'll discuss as part of this is timing of when people typically do each degree, and also timing of the program. All right, in terms of the timing of when you do these programs, at first, when I was looking at what I wanted to do outside of school, outside of undergrad, at first my mind went to an MBA because that's what I was really familiar with, and I did a lot of research, and I quickly found out that typically for a good amount of MBA programs, you need to have some sort of work experience to be able to be a competitive applicant. So generally, students had about 3 to 5 years of experience when they were applying to different MBA programs. When we look at the MSBA, it's a bit different. MSBA programs tend to target more of the early career students, about 0 to 2 years, because you're kind of going into more of the analytical roles that typically you find in the early part of your career that may be a bit more technical, a bit more analytical. You have to actually be doing the work instead of maybe focusing as much on the strategy part. So it's a bit different in terms of the demographic that the schools are targeting, of early career being the MSBA, a bit more early mid-career would be the MBA. Definitely look at this and decide if it makes sense for you, depending on your experience, to enroll in an MBA or an MSBA. Because I quickly saw that I didn't have the experience for an MBA, I thought, okay, let me go for the MSBA degree. I'm really interested in data. I think that this would also enhance my technical abilities, and I can be competitive for a lot of the early career roles. So it was a very clear decision-making factor for me. The second part of the timing is the duration of the course. So an MBA degree is typically 4 semesters over 2 years. Generally, it's the typical length of time for most master's programs. Whereas an MSBA is generally a year, maybe goes up to a year and a half, but usually no more than that. And that's because MSBA degrees are really trying to fill the need of the economy right now. There's a lot of data skills that are needed that are not found, and essentially a lot of the programs just try to cram you with as much knowledge as they can cram you with in a short amount of time, and then deploy you to the business world so that you can learn on the ground. Honestly, you can't, I touched on this in other videos, you can't learn everything over a year, right? Like, there's no way. So I think, yeah, you learn as much as you can, and then you get some business experience and you continue to learn. So the duration of the programs really vary, right? It takes twice as long to get an MBA as it does to get an MSBA. All right, let's also discuss the cost. Since an MBA program is longer, as you might guess, it's typically a bit more expensive. There's a few things. One is it'll take you that extra year of living expenses, and also an extra year of losing out on the salary you would have made if you were working, right? So there is definitely more of an opportunity cost when you get an MBA. So in general, the tuition and fees range from around $50,000 to $200,000 is the general range that I have seen for an MBA program. And that does not include your living expenses or any other expenses. That might be your personal expenses that don't count as tuition and fees. In terms of the cost for an MSBA program, it can range anywhere from $25,000 all the way to $80,000 or more. The sky is the limit nowadays. So when it comes to the cost of these programs, they just keep going up and up and up every year. Yeah, I just don't know how people afford to get degrees anymore. I don't know how I afforded to do it when I did it either. It's just things are getting more and more expensive. So neither program is cheap, but definitely the MBA would be a bit more expensive, like twice as expensive. Let's also discuss the types of job titles that you might get after an MBA versus an MSBA. So for an MBA, let's say you graduate, generally I've seen people tend to get sort of manager type of roles, whether that's product manager, IT manager, HR manager, you get into marketing, be a sales engineer, you could do anything, right? It's a more general degree, so the types of roles that you could get is really varied. It's really hard to exactly narrow it down because it is pretty varied, and you can honestly go into any of the core functions of a business because you have a general degree, which is a pro and a con, but you can apply it to essentially various areas of the business. Now, when we think about the job titles for an MSBA program, they generally tend to be more targeted. So they might still be in different areas of the business, but they involve some sort of technical component, whether that is a data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, data visualization expert, business intelligence engineer. You kind of get the gist of what I'm saying, I hope. It's a bit more technical, has to do with data, although it could be in any part of the business. Now let's discuss salaries, average salaries that you might make coming out of an MBA versus an MSBA program. So for an MBA program, generally students tend to make anywhere from $100,000 to literally the sky's the limit. It could go up to $300,000, $500,000, whatever, depending on which area of the business you're in, what your skills are, what your previous experience entails, the type of program that you attend, the rigor of the role that you're taking on. In terms of the MSBA program, students generally start off around maybe $70,000 and go up to $200,000 or more, depending on so many factors. So your total compensation can really vary based on your experience. A couple of other things to keep in mind. If you're an international student, definitely do your research because not every MBA program will be STEM certified. So definitely ensure that you do your research and you ensure that you can get your STEM extension. And generally your MSBA programs do tend to be STEM certified. Also, you can get an MSBA degree and get an MBA in the future, which may be what I am planning to do. I am not fully certain yet, but I may decide to go back to school and get my MBA a few years down the road. Why not? So please don't feel like if you get one degree you can't get the other. Generally you can. And you might even be more competitive for certain MBA programs because they see that you already can handle a master's level curriculum. I also want to mention, if you have any video ideas in the future, definitely leave them below. I will give you a shout out, as I did in this video, if I choose your video idea for a future video. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please take a second to subscribe. I just hit 1,000, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited to keep growing the channel. Have a great day. Bye.